The moment a basketball team falls completely out of rhythm, everyone inside the arena can feel it immediately. You can read it in the players' body language, hear it in the restless murmurs moving through the crowd, and see it clearly in the slow, awkward way the ball moves around the floor. But what happened next in Team USA's matchup against Italy completely flipped the entire game on its head. Because just when the offense looked stuck and lifeless, one decision from the bench unleashed a scoring explosion that nobody inside the arena could ignore. During the opening 3 minutes of the United States national team's game against Italy, that exact feeling of offensive stagnation hovered over the court like a thick cloud. Fans were watching some of the greatest women's basketball players in the world look surprisingly ordinary, struggling to establish any rhythm against an international defense they were expected to dominate. The scoreboard showed a strange and uncomfortable number, 5. Just 5 points in 3 full minutes for a roster known as an offensive powerhouse. It was a slow and concerning start that made everyone watching wonder the same thing. How much longer would Team USA continue forcing this puzzling experiment with their starting lineup? For months, the basketball establishment had been trying to push a particular narrative. They wanted fans to believe that experience automatically guaranteed success, that a slower half-court style was the safest strategy in international competition, and that Caitlin Clark simply needed to wait patiently behind the veteran stars already established on the roster. But against Italy, that storyline began to fall apart in real time. The traditional starting lineup was given its chance, and it simply wasn't working. The offense lacked energy and movement. Chelsea Gray, an incredible and respected floor general in her own right, was running an offense that had become too deliberate, too predictable, and completely missing the explosive creativity required to break through Italy's defensive structure. The game was drifting toward a slow, grinding, low-scoring battle. Then a moment of clear realization happened on the Team USA sideline. Head coach Kara Lawson was away handling her responsibilities at March Madness, leaving assistant coach Nate Tibbetts in charge for the game. Watching the offense stall and the scoreboard barely move, Tibbetts made the kind of decision any analytical basketball mind would make. He ignored the hierarchy. He pushed aside the politics and the ego management. Just 3 minutes into the first quarter, he looked down the bench and called for number 22. What followed wasn't simply a momentum swing. It was a complete takeover of the game. When Caitlin Clark stepped onto the floor, Team USA had only 5 points. Over the next 6.5 minutes of the first quarter, with Clark running the offense, the team exploded for 23 points. Think about that for a second because the numbers alone are almost unbelievable. Without her on the floor, the team scored 5 points in 3 minutes. With her directing the offense, they dropped 23 points in 6.5 minutes. The offense didn't just improve slightly, it transformed entirely. The instant Clark took control of the ball, the entire geometry of the court changed. Italian defenders who had spent the opening minutes comfortably protecting the paint and clogging passing lanes suddenly found themselves scrambling. They were forced to extend their defense all the way out toward the 30-foot line, terrified of Clark's deep shooting range. And the second that defensive pressure stretched outward, the entire Team USA offense opened up. Passing lanes appeared everywhere, cutters had space to attack, and the American offense suddenly looked like a perfectly synchronized machine that Italy simply could not contain.
Let's get this going. Let me just... misdirection, backdoor, take it to the rack, layup. Folks, look at the score, actually. 5-5. We only scored 5 points in the first 3 minutes of this game. Caitlin Clark
Now watch the brilliance of this next possession, because it perfectly shows what happens when a player completely rewires the entire offense. This is exactly what people mean when they say one athlete can change the operating system of a basketball team. Clark controls the ball at the top of the floor, and every single defender in the Italian lineup is locked onto her. They are preparing for the deep three. They are bracing for the pick-and-roll attack. But Clark counters with a masterful piece of deception. She uses her eyes to manipulate the defense, subtly shifting their focus and opening the smallest window along the baseline. In that split second, the backdoor cut is timed perfectly, and Clark fires a pass that slices right through the defensive rotation, leading to an easy, uncontested layup at the rim. This is not simply passing to an open teammate. This is a player deliberately manipulating the defense into giving up the highest percentage shot in basketball. She is playing chess while the defenders are still playing checkers. But as incredible as that first quarter scoring surge looked, the real story of the game, the clearest evidence of Caitlin Clark's importance to this roster, actually became obvious when she returned to the bench. During the second and third quarters, the coaching staff went back to their normal rotation pattern. Their generational catalyst was taken out, likely to give her rest. But the effect on the court was immediate and brutal. The offense instantly slipped back into the slow, awkward, uninspired style we saw during the opening 3 minutes. Without Clark's gravitational pull stretching the defense, the Italian team tightened everything up. Passing lanes disappeared. The easy, fast break opportunities were gone. Instead, the offense became a series of difficult isolation jumpers late in the shot clock, heavily contested and inefficient. To truly understand the massive difference, you only need to look at the numbers. During those middle quarters, when Caitlin Clark was off the floor, Team USA outscored Italy by just 7 total points. Every possession turned into a battle. Every basket felt like a struggle. It was exactly the type of game that can leave a supposedly dominant team exposed to a shocking upset on the international stage. Instead of looking like a smooth, coordinated offensive system, the team suddenly appeared vulnerable, depending on individual moments of brilliance rather than consistent ball movement and spacing. The offense felt stuck again, almost desperate for someone to break the stagnation. Then the fourth quarter arrived, and everything changed again. The coaching staff finally released the lineup that basketball fans everywhere had been demanding. Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and Kelsey Plum stepped onto the floor together at the same time, creating a backcourt combination that instantly electrified the entire arena.
But go behind the back here. In between the legs. Let me stop. Hold up. Turn around. Fade away. In your face. Eat that.
And if anyone still has even the slightest doubt about her ability to break down elite international defenders one-on-one, this next sequence should be played on repeat. Critics constantly argue that she depends too heavily on the three-point shot, claiming she lacks the tight, elite ball handling skills expected from a traditional point guard. But this moment completely destroys that argument. Clark is isolated on the perimeter with the defender locked in front of her. She quickly snaps the ball behind her back, instantly freezing the defender's momentum. Without hesitation, she flows into a between-the-legs dribble, setting her rhythm perfectly. Then she stops on a dime, rises smoothly into a turnaround fadeaway jumper, and releases the shot directly over the defender's outstretched hand. The technique is flawless. The footwork is precise. The release is unbelievably quick. It is the type of shot that completely drains a defender's confidence, because even when the defense is technically perfect, it still makes no difference. Clark is operating as a fully multi-dimensional scoring weapon at the absolute peak of her game. But the fourth quarter wasn't only about individual brilliance. It was also about the development of real team chemistry and finally putting to rest the toxic online narratives claiming there was jealousy or tension inside the locker room. For months, people have spread rumors that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark cannot coexist on the same team. Social media clips have been analyzed frame by frame to suggest hidden sabotage or personal conflict. Yet the actual game footage from the fourth quarter of this matchup completely destroys that storyline.
She says nice. Free up some space. Step back. Signature Caitlin Clark 3 with the step back going left. Angel Reese actually excited about it, if you can believe it. If you can believe it. Look at all that space. Pull up. Bang! To end the quarter. Now Angel Reese.
Look at the phenomenal unselfish synergy in this clip. Angel Reese, the music 8 to 238 minutes. 23-second sex act player the internet claims hates playing with Clark, sets an incredibly hard, physical music 8 to 298 minutes, 29 seconds perfect screen. She completely obliterates the perimeter defender. She does the dirty work. She creates the space. And Caitlin Clark exploits that 8 to 388 minutes, 38-second space with terrifying precision. She utilizes her signature step-back move, 8 to 438 minutes, 43 seconds fading to her left, creating an ocean of separation, and launches an absolute missile from logo range. The ball snaps 8 to 508 minutes, 50 seconds through the net, and Angel Reese is visibly excited, celebrating the shot. 8 to 548 minutes, 54 seconds. This is what championship basketball looks like. It is about utilizing individual strengths to create an unstoppable collective force. 9 to 29 minutes, 2 seconds provides the physical enforcement, and Clark provides the lethal long-range execution. When those two players are on the same page, operating in the pick and 9 to 119 minutes, 11 seconds roll, or the dribble handoff, there is not a single defensive scheme in the world that can stop them. And if the half-court synergy wasn't enough to 9 to 189 minutes, 18 seconds terrify the international basketball community, the transition game we witnessed in the fourth quarter was an absolute masterclass in offensive 9 to 269 minutes, 26 seconds velocity. When you secure a defensive rebound, the clock starts ticking. The window to catch a defense out of position is open for approximately 2 and 9 to 349 minutes, 34 seconds, 1/2 seconds. Music. If you have a traditional point guard who demands to walk the ball up the floor, that window slams shut. But when you have a player whose default setting is a full sprint, 9 to 449 minutes, 44 seconds, the fast music break becomes a weapon of mass destruction.
Where is she? There she is. Gives Caitlin Clark the ball. Caitlin Clark pushing it. Paige already up the... Oh, look at the threading the needle. Sweet! Oh, in between two defenders. Pass was so good that defender almost fell over. Look at that. Pass so good. Up.
Now watch how this next sequence develops, because it perfectly captures the speed and intelligence of elite basketball. Kiki Iriafen does an outstanding job battling through traffic to secure the defensive rebound. But the most important part of the play is what happens immediately afterward. She doesn't dribble the ball up the floor, and she doesn't attempt to act as a point forward. Instead, she instantly locates her point guard and delivers the fundamental outlet pass. The moment the ball reaches Caitlin Clark's hands, the Italian defense is instantly under pressure. Paige Bueckers, displaying her elite basketball IQ, immediately recognizes the opportunity and explodes down the floor in a full sprint. What follows is pure basketball brilliance. Clark pushes the ball up the court at incredible speed while reading the defense as it retreats. She spots Bueckers cutting toward the basket, but two Italian defenders are perfectly positioned directly in the passing lane. For almost every point guard in the world, that window would be considered completely closed. Most players would slow the play down and reset the offense, but Clark does not see closed windows. Instead, she threads an unbelievable pass through the narrowest gap imaginable, firing the ball with such precision and velocity that the recovering defender nearly stumbles while trying to intercept it. The pass arrives perfectly in stride for Bueckers, who finishes easily at the rim. When Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers share the floor, it isn't just efficient offense. It becomes a masterclass in spacing, shooting, and playmaking that makes the game look effortless. The shift from the slow, grinding basketball of the second and third quarters to the fast, fluid, high-energy offense seen in the first and fourth quarters was driven almost entirely by the presence of one player. And when you look at the numbers, the evidence becomes impossible to ignore. The box score tells the full story. Caitlin Clark finished the game with 12 points, 5 assists, and an astonishing 102% true shooting percentage. In modern basketball analytics, true shooting percentage measures scoring efficiency by combining field goals, three-point shots, and free throws into a single metric. Posting a 102% true shooting mark means a player is operating at a level of offensive efficiency that is nearly impossible to maintain. It means every shot, every touch, and every possession is being maximized to perfection. But the statistic that raises the most serious questions about the coaching strategy is the plus-minus rating. Clark finished the game with a team-high plus 25. To put that into context, during a game where the middle quarters were extremely competitive, the minutes when Clark was on the floor became completely one-sided. While she played, Team USA outscored Italy by 25 points. The team produced 28 points in the first quarter after she entered early and added another 24 points in the fourth quarter when she was allowed to close the game. Whenever she sat on the bench, the offense looked confused and disconnected. The contrast was so dramatic that it felt like watching two completely different teams wearing the same jerseys. This moment feels like a turning point for Team USA. The time for protecting veteran status and maintaining political balance within the roster may be coming to an end. When a player produces a 102% true shooting performance, posts a plus 25 impact rating, and single-handedly transforms a stagnant offense into a high-powered scoring machine, leaving that player on the bench at the start of the game begins to look less like strategy and more like a serious mistake. Interim head coach Nate Tibbetts recognized the reality just 3 minutes into the game. He saw the offense stalling, pressed the panic button, and inserted the player who changed everything. But a team should not need an offensive crisis to play its most impactful player. It should not take a scoring drought to reveal that the traditional lineup is no longer the most effective option. International competition will only become tougher and more physical. If Team USA wants to maintain its dominance on the global stage, the coaching staff may need to stop prioritizing seniority and finally hand the keys of the offense to the player who rescued the team from a disastrous start. Thank you for tuning in to one of the most detailed and relentless basketball breakdowns online. This channel focuses on real game analysis, not media narratives. If you enjoy deep dives into the X's and O's of women's basketball, make sure you subscribe and leave a like on the video, and tell me in the comments, is it finally time for the coaching staff to make Caitlin Clark the permanent starting point guard for Team USA? I will see you in the next breakdown.